What's up, y'all? Man, that is some bright, bright, bright sun, man. Still bright, right? I mean, what's interesting is that this is not a particularly sunny day. It's not a sunny day. It's like a weird, foggy, misty uh, forest, rainforest kind of day, which is why you need an extra cup of coffee. And as you will clearly see, if you're on this broadcast, I don't know what I'm doing, but that's part of the fun. If you're here for the first time or rainforest, it's weird out there, right? Tori, did you go outside this morning? Did you go for your morning walk? It's weird. Like I looked at my phone, see if it's still on there. I looked at my phone this morning. This is probably what dads do. I'm not a dad, but I act like a dad. And there's like an icon on my phone that I've never seen. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's like a cloud. You totally can't see that, but it's like a cloud with like lines on it. You see that? What is that? And I'm like getting ready. I get up early-ish, and I realized when I walked outside that I was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. So if you're wondering, like, wow, this guy's just rambling, what is this? That's what this is. We're doing half an hour of chit chat, just me talking to myself, and Tori just throws things in there so I don't feel lonely. You can join. If you like it weird, you should come by. Who else is here? There's 3 viewers. Who else is here, man? Tell me who you are. I can't say hi. I have to be like a really bad guest if you don't tell me who you are. What's up? That's Tori still. Miguel? Goda! What's up, G? I didn't even know I could do what I'm about to do, but this is what's going to happen right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi. That's lame. It's like a default hi, how are you thing. I don't like that. What's up, Goda? I don't like it. It's like when you you get like an email or a text from somebody and your phone's like, oh, do you want to just say, that sounds great? Like, just makes you sound like you're a bot. Cool stash in the house? Oh, dude, you're talking about Goda. Goda, are you prepared to I mean, I know you're prepared to do this, but I'm sort of saying it because yeah, I don't have a stash. I mean, no, I really don't. I don't even know what this is called, but it's not a stash. You down to join in on video, Goda-san? If so, we can do that now. That's how sophisticated this operation has become. That's how crazy it is. So Emma's coming on in about 20 minutes, and Emma who? Emma McGann. If you're on YouNow, you probably have heard of Emma McGann. She's cheers. Sorry for drinking in front of a broadcast. It's just how I roll. Emma McGann is she's probably been doing live streaming as long as any other artist that's been doing it. And she's basically one of those people walking around that's like one of the top experts. I stumbled into her world about 4 or 5 weeks ago when I write for these music industry publications. Everything good? So like, dude, let me know. Oh yeah, you're down. Okay, sorry. I got lost in my own life. Cool, let's do this. You know what? Let's go, let's go, let's go. 1, 2, get the stash ready, bro. See if I can break the internet. Did it work? Let me try again, dude. This thing is super bright, huh? Tori, how's that light? 1 to 10. Secret language. Tell me honestly how the light looks. It's not coming in, bro. I tried twice. Why are you being like that? Why are you like lurking outside the door like, yeah, let me in? And then when I come out and open the door, you run into the bushes. I'm going to try one more time, dude. Maybe it is a mobile thing. That doesn't sound right to me, but maybe it is. You know who would know? Dan would know. Who's Dan? Dan's our inside contact at You Now. He's basically the only reason that this is happening. Tori and I and Emma is probably the second reason this is happening. Tori and I are just pawns in their scheme. I keep adjusting that because I feel like it's like super shiny and sunny and hard to see me, right? Sorry for being like OCD about this. Light's good. I am darker than usual. Not in my heart, but a little ghosty. Don't make me put my costume on. She's like, you don't have to, bro. I'm gonna try one more time, Goda-san, because I want to make sure that if we have a case study, you know, Newton said, don't believe something until you've tested it 3 times. It's a translation. It's not literally what he said. It's like loading up, but then the image doesn't come out. Hopefully that doesn't happen with Emma. It's my Bill Clinton voice. Hey, Tori, I'm gonna bring you in. What, 2? Because of Bill Clinton. I'm gonna bring you on, Tori, just because I want to see if this is. You see, you're on.
Hello.
Your image looks so much clearer than mine, right?
Yeah.
Why is
I
mine?
don't know why. Give your camera
either.
a little wipe.
Good idea. I'll be back.
Oh, leave me all alone to hold down the fort here.
You can hear me in my sort of like ghosty audio though, just like when you did it the other day, right? You're like, where's that guy? He's, I don't know. Where did he go? All right.
Oh, looks like Goda is back. You could try again.
Okay, so camera is here. I'm sure that looks really awesome. That's better.
Oh, that is so much better.
Yeah. Well,
you know, a little smudge on it.
I moisturize my iPad before I begin, and it's a little too much information probably.
As all good hosts should.
You know, and I'm like super like I moisturize my face too because sometimes I get dry, which is an old man sort of problem. And now I put too much on. I look like I just came out of the pool.
Goda's back. You want to try and guess him in his
Yeah, please, somebody. Oh, look, see, this image looks like he wants to join. The other one looks sort of like coy. Like, if you want to.
Hey,
what's up, man?
Everything good.
Yeah, dude. Wow, the stash is in full effect.
Yeah, here we are.
Did you think you would become a live streamer today?
Yeah, I'm ready.
No hesitation.
Goda's way more ready than anyone else on here, man. Lee, what's up? Lee's like, okay, so what's going on right now? So
you should tell them who you are, Pete. Tell them who Goda is.
Thank God we have a boss in the room. Tori wears the pants in this operation. So as our title hopefully describes, this thing was built a few days ago, honestly, to try and talk about live streaming for artists. So we have people on that could talk about live streaming, that could tell us what the best artists and best people are doing and how to make it work and how to make it something that artistically says what you want to say, and also hopefully is something that either generates, fans or followers or income, and sort of how all those pieces fit together. So I'm pretty much as new to this as anybody else. So the good thing is, if you feel like you have a stupid question, it's probably something that I'm thinking at the same time. So there are no stupid questions. We have an amazing guest coming on in addition to our other two guests right now. By the way, this is Tori Owens. And this is Goda.
Oh.
Okay. I'm not sure I have in my mind what your last name is for some reason. Miguel Goda.
Godines. It's like
Godines.
It's like a
So you know how, like, does anybody know, like, if you have like a friend and you just always call them by their nickname, and then you're like, what the hell is that guy's name? Like, I don't actually know, like, if you're, outside trying to get him bail or something, he's in jail, and you're like, I don't actually know. I'm just kidding. It'd probably be the reverse. You'd be like, what is your name, sir? And I'd be like, I don't know. His name's Goda. He's trying to get me out of jail. I don't know. Jail jokes. Jail jokes are tough. You know what? Did you guys hear about dad joke time.
Oh, let me get it.
I'm
gonna lose count by the end of this.
Female comedian. She has a talk show. Everybody loves her.
Not Ellen.
Ellen made some comment. So look, I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but she made some comment about, like, oh, being in coronavirus is like being in jail.
Yeah.
And she got a lot of flack, like, you don't know what it's like to be in jail. I'm like, first off, she's a comedian. It's her job to make analogies.
Yeah.
Are you calling yourself a comedian now, Pete?
There's people who are built to be comedians, and there's people who are accidentally comedians. I'm more in the second category. Anyway, I think that's ridiculous. I think you should let comedians be comedians, and don't get on people's case. Anyway.
I mean, that's a good thing to stand by in general. I like that. Just don't get on people's cases.
Yeah, and in general, too. Like, give people a little bit of, like, what did they mean by that? Who knows, man?
Yeah.
You'll never know. They'll never know, right? So, Goda, what kind of music are you working on right now? Tell Lee. Is Lee still? Lee, are you still here? Are you still hanging with us?
Left.
Lee's like, peace. So tell us, like, what are you up to at the moment, musically?
Well, I'm just starting to produce an EP for a Mexican artist, and it's like singer-songwriter. We're having like online sessions with professional writers, and then moving on to timing, and then the final recordings.
Can I ask how those online sessions work? How do they function, and how do they go compared to in person?
Well, writing, like, just a conference, and everyone has a guitar, piano, or something, and the notebook, and just trying to get the song ready. We try to prepare as much as possible by giving everyone, like, the demos and the lyrics, like the first ideas the artists already have. And for sessions, it's more interesting because in Zoom, for example, it's easy to see the musician screen and actually listen to what he or she are recording in real time. So you listen to the output that's going to their monitors. So basically, you're listening to the actual thing.
So you're using Zoom as, like, the pipes for everything.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, also, like, for writing sessions, some people prefer more WhatsApp, but those are like limited to 3 or something.
They're what?
Limited 3 or 4 people.
Oh, yeah. What about Google Hangouts? Have you used Google Hangouts?
Sorry, I lost you for a minute.
Yeah, it seems like the Wi-Fi is a little. Have you used Google Hangouts?
Oh, no, I haven't used it. Have you? Is it good?
We used it yesterday. It seems okay. I mean, I think they're all kind of like pretty well established, and they tend to work pretty well. There's another one. Did I tell you about this? Did I tell you about SessionWire?
Oh yeah, I haven't tried it, but seems like more sophisticated, more complicated thing, right?
Yeah, there's SessionWire, which is much better audio, and it's actually DAW to DAW. So in other words, if you're working in Pro Tools or Logic or something, and then the other person you're wanting to work with is also working in production software, it can essentially synchronize them. There is some latency, but you can adjust for it, right? So it feels like you can more or less play along with something. None of those technologies currently allow you to actually jam and create simultaneously, because it's not physically possible yet for like me and you to jam over this right now and have it really sync up. And also you can't have multiple people playing remotely and have those people sync up like a band. Like if Coldplay wanted to play all over the world, that wouldn't work right now. But SessionWire is really good for like tracking or mixing something with people in a room. Essentially, hey, does that sound good? Great. You can sign off on things really fast. There's another one that I spoke to. I spoke to both these companies last week. SessionWire seems really good, and also Audio Movers.
Audio what?
Audio Movers.
Oh, okay.
Which is a much smaller, simpler footprint. And you might actually want to try Audio Movers first, just because it's almost like a smaller tool that you can use to like, hey, let me hear that. Okay. And then the person can literally play it in their DAW without downloading any audio file. They have you have like a broadcast piece of the app, and they have like a reception piece of the app, and it locks in, and you can start it wherever you want. Like, let me just play the hook, and then you clip it basically, and then that person in their DAW listens to the hook, and they're like, yeah, that sounds good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Audio Movers is simpler in a way, but it's actually a little more stealth and a little more effective, because it's just this little tool that you use all the time. Anyway. So yeah, go ahead.
And you have that plus like a conversation.
Yeah, it's a good question. So with SessionWire, if I'm going off memory right now, but from what I understood from SessionWire, and I'll have to go back and listen to the recorded interview I had, but from what I remember, their primary tech is the audio. So they have the audio, it's like 96 bit, or it's a very, very high def version of the audio. So that's really strong, but the video is probably something that's just kind of like goes alongside it, or you can just use Skype, or you can just use something that's maybe not as polished. Because the other thing that's happening is we're in this interesting moment where we're pushing on the technology. Even though the technology keeps growing, there's certain parts of the industry that keep pushing on it faster than it can grow, which I think is actually a good thing. And so if you're trying to do high def video and high def audio simultaneously in real time with DAWs running, it's going to max out most people's bandwidth, their actual incoming and outgoing data, right? And you need some buffer between the max that your system can handle and actually what's going through it. Otherwise, it's inconsistent and you have issues. So usually the limiting factor is, okay, we have X amount of data that we want to be able to get back and forth. What do we use it for? So if you're doing production and that's your main thing, you might want shitty video or no video or minimum video, or do a video on another, do it on your phone, right?
Yeah.
Where it's a completely different, anyway. Tell me about the artist. Is it someone you've worked with before? Like, do they have a website, or is it male, female artist?
It's a guy that's coming out. Well, he released the single already, but this is like what's coming after. So
Go.
He's Mexican, but living in London, but he's here.
KK's here.
In vacation.
So we have two nicknames, Goda and KK. KK was on yesterday. Are we able to listen to the other single? Do you think that he would be down for us to like share the first single so we kind of know like what you're working on, what kind of artist it is?
Yeah, it is already released. Let me look for the link and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, dude, if you text it to me or email it to me, we'll put it up there.
Cool.
What's up, KK? Thanks for coming in. Who is he? That's Goda. That's our friend Goda. He's joining in a little bit ahead of time because he's a buddy, and he just disappeared.
He went to go get that.
Not Ghana,
song.
Goda. Oh, he took off to get the song.
Yeah.
He's polite, unlike me. I'm just like, I'll be right back, and then I just leave. Right? Is that like a dad thing to do also? Like, here's a dad thing that my dad does. He'll go into the refrigerator, and then if there's like, we have like a big summer watermelon that's been cut, and it's like just totally fresh and ready to go. He'll take the center, like the best part of the watermelon. He'll be like, "Oh, Dad, how was it?" He's like, "Yeah, it's good. It's good. Watermelon's good."
Thanks for leaving
like,
some for me.
Wow, man, you went right in and just. So I'm sure I do something similar in my own way. Hey, we captured a moment of me talking about my dad. I'll have to send that to him. I'll be like, "Yo, Pops, you're not going to believe what happened. You're famous. Sort of famous. You're like you now famous on a channel with like 10 people that view it." Goda just sent me a link that I'm going to now. So what's weird is when you send me the link, of course, oh, there we go. Okay, stand by. I'm probably the least sophisticated technical person. So this is going to take me a couple of minutes.
As he hosts the live stream.
Yeah, that's what makes this so great. That's what makes this so great. So I thought I was on my show, but hold on. Live on. Anybody?
Live. 10 points.
10 points. Okay.
Ooh, echo.
Echo. So this is a Spotify link for Goda's artist. Goda, what's it? Oh, he's not back yet.
I think he is. Yeah.
Okay, so I can drag him back in.
Yeah.
I like being able to say I'm going to drag him back in. Seems appropriate.
Also, we're 5 minutes till 10, FYI.
Cool. So you guys, it's for real going to happen. Emma's going to be here in 5-ish minutes. So Goda, I'm gonna I might bring you back on afterwards when we wrap up at like 11-ish. I need to focus my limited technical powers. Couple things I want to mention. Again, who are we? What are you watching right now? This is called Live on Live. We basically try and capture what's useful for live stream artists to know at this present moment. Obviously, a lot of people are trying it. A lot of people are doing it. People are using everything from, free services, right? Like your Instagram lives and Facebook lives. By the way, Facebook is going to be bringing in a new premium paid live stream service in a couple of weeks. It's not fully public yet, but I know some writers are sort of teasing that, so that's going to be coming out. There's lots of different ways to do it. There's Stage It. If you guys are familiar with Stage It, Evan Lowenstein started Stage It like 10 years ago, way before anybody believed it would work. He was about to close down like 2 months ago. I didn't actually believe that, and I asked him outright a couple of weeks ago for an interview. I was like, I read this article, and you were supposed to close down, and everything was like going off a cliff, and then COVID happened, and all of a sudden you guys are kind of back. And he was like, yep, that's true. So you've got Stage It, which is basically a ticketed model. You've got YouNow. I don't know how YouNow works. Those are kind of the
like
big
this.
ones. Then you've got premium stuff. You got premium stuff, and I'd like to get into that in some future episodes. Like, you know, if you want to bring a little crew in, or if you want to have something with some multicam and you want to have some people walk you through that, Hovercast is a really interesting company that's led by a music video director. So he gets music and he gets video and he gets live streaming. He's really good. His name is Eli Stonberg. I want to get him on. Bulldog Digital Media is a kind of a big wig one. Like that's where all the brands go when they want to do like a big rollout for one of their brands. So it's 3 minutes till. Tori, don't let me like forget to bring Emma in.
No worries. She just said she will be hopping on soon. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is KK, are you making fun of the picture behind me? Hydrate, everybody. So we're excited to bring Emma on. If you guys have not heard of Emma, why don't we post a link for Emma's. Let's put her main website first so people can check out like what she's actually doing on her official website page. Emma's doing a virtual tour right now, and you guys need to go check it out. You can get a ticket.
She has a show right after this.
She has a show right after this, like literally at 12:30 local time, PST, whatever that is for you guys. And it's about an hour and a half after we wrap. And you can get a ticket for like 20 pounds, I think it is. And you get access to all of her virtual tours over the next, like through June. You can also win a ticket if you guys post on here what your favorite live stream artist is and why. And we're going to pick the best answer. And Friday, we're going to give away a virtual tour pass. So, KK, what's your favorite live stream artist right now? Goda, what's your favorite live stream artist right now?
Besides us.
Besides us, exactly.
No, we said besides us.
Goda's like, I know, but there's only one. Oh, sorry. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking with Emma about partnering with other artists, how to collaborate. Oh, okay, KK, sorry. So do you have a musician, a live stream, an artist, a music artist that that you really like, that's doing something cool with live streaming? Have you watched anybody that's kind of like your top favorite? I would say I really liked Chris Martin's live stream. Thank you, KK. We got a lot of fans here today. We got a lot of love. We have a lot of love.
You're saying you like Chris Martin's?
I like Chris Martin's that he did, and I also like who was the other guy that I mentioned on the last, right before we did the last stream, and I can't remember his name. Amazing singer, piano player. Trying to think of his. It was James Blake. If you guys Google James Blake live stream, it's some of the best musicianship you'll hear on a live stream. And he just pops it up on his piano and chats for like 5 minutes, and then he just plays and sings along with himself on the piano, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. That's okay, KK.
Musicians that play loop pedals when they're the whole band.
Yeah, James was incredible, right? Yeah, there's a guy that I saw doing that. Did we see that together? There's like a YouTube artist.
Yeah,
artist who's
Matt
who did we
Walden
see? Yeah.
on Twitch.
Oh, it was on Twitch, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Our previous two broadcasts were on Twitch. We might be able to see if we can get them to put those here. You think they would let us do that?
Post them up?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's see.
We can link
If not,
it to our
we'll see.
Twitch.
We can
Put it in our bio.
You want to go on a call? You want to take off? What are you up to, Mary KK?
Oh, I think she wants to go on this call.
Oh, we're about to have Emma on. I totally would, but we're about to have our guest on. Our celebrity guest is about to hop on. So next time, though, we're on here Wednesdays and Fridays. And we usually pop on now like half an hour early to just chat. So you got to come on the next time. When you came on this morning, or is it morning there? Where are you?
She's in her room, remember, Peter?
I know she won't tell me. But maybe today she'll be like, I'm on the Western Hemisphere. Like every time she comes on, we'll get a little closer. Room. That's cool. Me too.
Emma's here.
Room.
Emma's creeping. Shall I drag her on?
Yeah. I don't see her. Oh.
She's in the audience.
Cool. Yeah, can you bring her in? I didn't see her in there. Oh, she has to comment in order for me to see her. Oh, there she is. Okay. I see. Cool. Do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
Whichever. You're already there. Go ahead.
Okay.
Practice it.
Yes. Three, two, one. So yeah, KK, next time, come in a little bit early and we'll hang out. We won't be on tomorrow, unfortunately. Friday though. Friday works. So she's not I wonder if it needs to be on mobile. Were you on mobile when you came on just now?
Yeah.
Might have to be on mobile.
She might not have accepted it yet.
Okay, got it.
Is my thought.
Mobile or compatible browsers.
She's the YouNow Pro though, so I know she could.
She could like hack into the mainframe and be like,
yeah.
She's Trinity. All right, for anyone who hasn't seen The Matrix, that doesn't make any sense. Fine.
Me.
If you haven't seen The Matrix, let's put it in. It doesn't seem like, it seems like she's trying to get in. Maybe we could try it if she requests to come on. Is that worth trying?
Oh, I think she just popped off.
Okay.
I don't see her in the audience anymore.
She might be going to a mobile.
My new profile
Emma.
picture is of me with my pug.
You have a pug?
You see it? Yeah. I don't have a pug
Where?
now. It's at my parents' house.
I see. But what are we talking about? Where's the picture? Oh,
Profile?
your profile picture. Ah! Ah! Do we remember Emma's pug's name?
Roxy.
That's right.
I'm a fan of
Roxy the pug.
Roxy.
Roxy the pug. Maybe she'll make a cameo.
I hope
She might make a
so.
cameo.
Peter, what do you do besides the stream? What is your job? What do you
I
do
am a music industry consultant. I primarily, at the moment, am writing a lot for 3 music industry publications. One is called the A&R Registry, one is called the Film and TV Music Guide, and one is called the Music Publishers Guide. And I interview and write on things that are happening in the music industry, and try and translate that for our readers. And that's actually kind of what led me to doing this. So, yeah, this has been such a,
Did you think you'd become a writer?
You know, my first job out of college was actually as a journalist. So, radio and records. So, I don't know. It seemed pretty straightforward, actually. Right? I mean, writing, I think, has always been something that it's easy for me to do, more or less. Mm-hmm. It's hard to do it well. It's hard. I'm picky, and it takes me forever to get something to where I like it. But I like the process of getting something looking and sounding and reading well.
Yeah.
So, should we try Emma again?
Is she back on?
Let's see. I bet she's finding a mobile. That would be my guess.
Let me drop a link to the registry.
Yeah, so I just finished a kind of a special insert that might be useful for you guys. So if you go to that link, there's a lot of things on what's up, Emma?
Wow, she's our #1 fan, but we're her #1 fan.
But what? What? Okay.
Yay!
There you are! Hey.
How's it going,
It's
guys?
so good to see you.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing good, thank you. Yeah, I'm just using a kind of a wide-angle lens thing for my iPhone, so hopefully it doesn't look too blurry.
No, it looks fine.
Good.
So, it's going really well. So,
on out of here.
Okay. Thank you, Tori.
You're welcome.
So do you think, Emma, that if we're doing this on a mobile, that any of the guests have to be on mobile as well?
No, like you should be able to do it cross-platform, yeah. As long as the audio is okay for everybody watching, then.
Yep. Can everybody? Hey, Tori, let me know. Scale of 1 to 10. How's the audio for both of us? How do we sound in the actual stream? 1 to 10. Sounds good. All right, so we'll avoid numbers today. We don't want to be too precise. We're super happy to have you on again, Emma.
Thanks for having me, yeah.
So let me start with a couple things. You have your second concert that's coming up. It's a virtual tour that you've been on since last Wednesday. Tell us a little bit about the performances and how they've been going and what's going on with them.
Yeah, so I'm doing some virtual concerts every single week, every Wednesday, from last week up until June 3rd. So we're doing 8 concerts overall for this kind of wedge. It's kind of where I should have been touring in the US. We originally scheduled to do virtual shows alongside the in-person tour. And thankfully, we're still able to do those virtual shows. They've been going good. We had our first one last week, which was a full pop show.
It's awesome.
Which was always really fun. And then this week, we're mixing it up a little bit. So it's a little bit more live lounge acoustic to keep things fresh. And then, so it's going really well so far. It's been fun.
Cool. So every Wednesday, I think it's 12:30 local time, Pacific time. I think for you it's 8:30 in the UK.
7:30.
7:30.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys should check it out. You get one pass, and you get to all the shows through June, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Awesome. And also for viewers, if you want to post a live streamer that you feel is sort of one of the top performers that you've liked, we'll pick the best answer, and the winner on Friday, which is our last one with Emma, is going to be winning a virtual tour pass that they can use through June. So post your favorites. I already gave you mine. You can't use them. My two favorites so far during the pandemic were Chris Martin's, just kind of like, okay, it's kind of obvious, and James Blake. Did you see James Blake?
No, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's very raw, and it's very like, wow, if someone could sing like that into Instagram, like, okay, that's legit. So we've been, for you guys that want to check out the previous two chats that we had with Emma, that were brilliant and mind-blowing, and we super are glad that you've been able to share some of your thoughts and expertise with us. Those are currently on Twitch. We're going to see if we can figure out a way to get them available here as well. Tori, if you can let people know where to find those, at least on Twitch for the moment. The first one kind of talked about setup and tech and production value. And the second one was talking a little bit more about engagement and sort of getting that flow with your viewers. And that's, I mean, we probably could have done 100 on that topic, but we got sort of a taste of it. So today we're going to be talking about collaboration, which is, again, it's sort of, we could probably talk for days on it, right? So I'm going to try and keep my questions simple and let you sort of share as much as you possibly can. I'm new to this world, just like a lot of people that are probably listening. And I feel like one of the delicate things about collaborating with people is the process that's involved, and not and sort of doing it in the right way, and understanding what the sort of etiquette is and what the sort of flow is when you're reaching out or you're looking at partnering or collaborating potentially with other live streaming artists. So just as a general kind of introduction to it, if we're aliens and we don't know about this at all, we don't understand any of the unwritten rules, how would someone start to think about, okay, here's how do I think about collaborating with other live stream artists?
I would probably say, I think the first port of call, the first place that people's minds go to, especially when it's musicians, is that kind of live remote performance where you're performing together, which in an ideal world that would be fantastic and so much fun to do. And if it were possible, I think that we'd see a lot more bands and artists doing it. Obviously, because of delay compensations, people's internet, you're relying on so many different things, and there's no current real-time solution for that. Outside of that, something that you can always look to do is do something that's pre-recorded, in that sense, where perhaps you're all in your remote locations, we're playing, if you're collaborating with somebody on the other side of the world, kind of doing a pre-recorded push out in that way, and then displaying it on your live stream at a later date. I think for musicians, collabing throughout a live stream, I feel like any audience really kind of admires and gets value out of seeing is your songwriting process. I feel like sitting down with your audience and perhaps 2 or 3 other artists who maybe you're in the same community, whether it be on YouNow or wherever. I feel like that could be a good port of call for a collab in the live stream world. But the thing is, I feel like a lot of musicians who have been doing live streaming for a while, like me, we kind of look at it in a more kind of open-ended fashion. So not just music. We can collab and sit and play games together, or we can do a podcast together. So there's kind of endless options there. Yeah. Awesome.
Let me unpack the musical example you gave. So in my journeys the last few weeks, kind of watching and listening to a lot of people, there's there's a lot of this sort of, at least what I've seen, there's kind of this freestyle kind of collaboration where, you know, whether it's hip hop or not, there's this kind of like, we pass the mic, so to speak, and you're doing some things and maybe I have a beat, or maybe you're doing a couple bars, or there's this kind of, it's not a songwriting session. It's not that precious, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just this kind of like fun back and forth. Is that a better option for someone getting into this? Or is it better to be like, hey, we're going to write a song together today and it's going to more or less go like that? Like, what are the pros and cons of those two ways of doing it?
I feel like, I think like viewers that are watching, I think they kind of enjoy being a part of that moment where you create something then and there. I think that comes across, like, for me as like just a viewer, I think I'd find that more entertaining to kind of be there in that moment when they came up with that idea together. I think that would work maybe a little bit better. There was an instance maybe like 3 or 4 years ago now where like going back to kind of collabing with the live streamers, a friend of mine, his name is Eco, and he used to play on YouNow. He used to play keyboard, and what he'd do is he'd play when I was live. He would display my live stream in his live stream, and then almost perform on top of that. So it kind of, you know, that's another kind of way to do it in a live sense.
Does that sound good? Because you've got this displacement. Does it work?
I think it depends on your setup. Back when we did it, it seemed to work really, really well. And it's interesting because I remember the viewers that were watching us both at the time, they were kind of, they wanted to hear the best of both worlds. So they wanted to hear me doing the solo, and then they'd jump into his broadcast and they get to see like, or hear both of us at the same time. So that's a really interesting way of doing it. I can see a kind of a chain reaction where you jump across to each other's and there's just an added musician.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, like musical chairs, like, okay, and then someone else comes in. Wow, if you guys did that years ago, I'm sure it can be done. Now, I've never seen that. Has anybody done it since that you know of?
Not that I know of, no.
Cool.
Not that I know of. Something to think about.
Yeah. What other, so that's kind of a good, maybe a good wormhole too, is like, what are some great collaborations when you reflect back? You know, you've been doing this for what, 7 years you've been live streaming?
Yeah, 6.5 years now.
Okay. What were some of those highlights as a collaborator, whether it was a musical collaborator, it could have just been something non-musical, but something where you just felt like that really came together and it was awesome?
I think the most valuable kind of collaborations I've had with other live streamers has been writing music together, so kind of releasing music.
Wow.
And then kind of, you know, bringing that content to live streams in our own different ways, in our own individual broadcasts. That's where we've seen the most value and the best reaction. I would say, like, because I feel like live streaming can be such a casual thing. It's so easy to collab with other streamers and, you know, sit and just chat like we are now, or like sit and play a game and things like that. But what we found is that what people love to see is like that creation of something together that doesn't have to exist inside of a live stream, whether that be like a YouTube video that you do remotely together, or a song or an album or an EP. So yeah. So
do you think it's, for the viewer now, for the person that sort of comes in and experiences that, do they want to see that spark moment? Do you want to have that sort of, you know, videoed somehow and then you post that later? Or do they really just want to hear that sort of collaboration in its final form where it's like, oh, I can kind of hear a little bit of Emma and I can kind of hear a little bit of James or whatever? What's more entertaining for the viewers, do you think?
I think like it works on an individual basis too. Like in my experience, people really love being there in the moment. So for example, this 10 songs challenge that I did a few weeks ago, where I wrote one song every day for 10 days. I did a live stream on YouNow while I was writing a song called Levels, and I went live and kind of wrote the song then and there, and people were kind of trying to contribute, and they were kind of just enjoying the moment, and then, you know, kind of reflecting on being there in the moment in the YouTube comments or like on later streams saying, you know, oh, I was there when you wrote this. Like, so there's that kind of very special thing about, I guess it's quite a nostalgic thing, I guess, for them to look back on, especially if it's like a song that they might potentially listen to years from now. So that's quite special too.
Is that hard? I mean, as a songwriter, you know, if you're used to sort of sitting down in sessions with people and closing the door, and you know, sometimes you're bearing your soul, sometimes you're working on a song that you worked on with somebody else, and there's all sorts of things that come up during a songwriting session that may or may not be things that you want to be like public broadcast. And then on the other side of it, maybe there's this new side to the craft where it's kind of this thing that's a collaborative animal, and that's part of the fun. Do you feel like how does someone that's doing this know like what to bring in or how to set it up so it works with the audience or with other people, and isn't this kind of like, oh, you know, that's not something I want to work on publicly, you know what I mean?
I would say, yeah, I agree. It puts you in a very vulnerable position as a writer, and I don't do it often at all. Like I think I think the one that I did a couple of weeks ago, I think the reason I did that was because I was in quarantine. We were in quarantine and feeling creative and stuff. And then the previous time we did that, I think we broadcast some vocal takes from the vocal booth, just to give people a little taste of a single that was coming out. I think that was last year. So yeah, I would say that I think it comes down to the person. It's definitely an individual thing. Like I wouldn't choose to do it myself with every single one of my songs. Like it's a little bit too precious in that sense, where like maybe one song every now and again I want people to be a part of, and like you say, be that collaborative beast. But most of my things, like I like to keep, there's a kind of mystique around it as well. That maybe they'll get to hear a stripped down acoustic version in a broadcast, but they don't get to hear the fully produced thing until they actually hear it. So it kind of depends, I think, on the broadcaster. I mean, it can be really fun to write a song then and there. But it can also be a lot of pressure too. When you've got like immediately like 100 eyes on you, when you're like, I don't know, just vulnerably picking out, you know, words from your head. That's a lot of pressure sometimes, I think. Right.
What are some artists? By the way, you guys need to forgive me. This is literally my third live stream, so I'm newbie. I'm not even a newbie yet. So Emma, Justabot, thank you for coming in, and Ben, thank you for coming in. Who would be some artists that you would love to collaborate with?
Artists I would love to collaborate with. There's a songwriter called Bonnie McKee, and she's more a songwriter than she is an artist. She self-releases, but her style of songwriting is something that has kind of lived with me over the years.
Tell me her name again. Bonnie McGee?
Bonnie McKee is her name.
Bonnie McKee, okay.
Yeah, and she was largely responsible for the Katy Perry Teenage Dream album. She was a big songwriter on that. And her thing is like, just like, it's almost like bubblegum pop in a way. And I've always loved her writing. It's always been like really fun, really vibrant. She has a fantastic song called Sleepwalker. She's one person. I guess another person would be John Bellion. Is an artist that I listen to pretty much on the daily. And
yeah, you like Lana, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I think I picked up at some point when I was sort of learning about you and watching some of your stuff. I remember you mentioning like, oh, I love Lana Del Rey, and I was like, of course you love, like, it just makes sense. But yeah, John Bellion's great. Awesome. So do you know, I want to fire a question at you that was asked a couple of live streams ago by Anoop, who's a friend of mine, who's a producer. He's worked with an artist. I won't drop names because that's a very LA thing to do, but I'll just say he's a producer. He's a very talented guy. And, you know, do you take submissions? So what that means for those of you that are not like music industry people is, you know, do you take a song that's 100% written by somebody else, more or less, and perform it? Or is it something where you really feel like every song that you perform as the artist on your own solo records should be like 100% Emma McGann?
It's always been 100% Emma McGann up until this point, and I feel like I'm open to collaboration in a sense of working with other songwriters, whether it be for other people's songs or my own, for sure. I've always been kind of open to that, but up until this point, it's been largely just 100% myself and James, really. So I write with other writers who are local to me here in the UK, and it's such a fun process to be in the room with other people that it's one of those things where it's completely different to sitting and writing a song on a broadcast, for sure. But I think you working with other writers brings out so many different ideas, and like every writer should do it. I think you're depriving yourself of a lot of opportunities and good ideas if you don't, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So, Tori, could we post, I think there was a song that you mentioned, Emma, by Bonnie McKee, that you said was kind of like one of your favorites. What was the name of it again?
Sleepwalker.
Tori, could you find Sleepwalker and see if we can get a link for it, just so people can check it out? John Bellion, I feel like the biggest thing he did recently was the new Lana Del Rey record. I think that was probably his, what did you think of that record? Did you like it?
Wait, which record is this?
The new Lana Del Rey record.
Oh, I actually haven't listened to that one. Not yet.
So those are some people that you'd like to collaborate with. What about other live streaming artists, and like getting a lay of the land in terms of what other people are doing and potentially collaborating with them as live streamers, right? So there's these sort of traditional avenues within music, right? There's, songwriting together, there's, working on things and publishing them with somebody, working on things with a producer. If you're collaborating with live streamers, do you think it's better to work with people that are pretty similar to you in terms of genre and vibe and energy and audience? Do you think it's better to work with people that kind of complement you in some way?
I think it can change. It depends. Like I'll give an example. Like I collaborated with another live streamer called the Dapper Rapper for on my album a few years ago now, and Dapper was a live streamer here on YouNow, and we'd been friends on the platform in the community for a long time, and we'd met quite a few times when we've been over to VidCon and all these different things, and his style is rap. He writes rap music. He writes rap, and he has such an amazing talent. If you guys do go check him out, he's incredibly talented at just freestyling in the moment, then and there. He's
got a Tori. He's got a Twitch channel that I checked out. I think it's subscriber only channel. But it seems like I just wanted to mention that. So if we can post that in the notes.
Yeah. So I would say like in terms of like genre, I think, don't be afraid to step out of your your wheelhouse. Okay. I think it can benefit you in different ways. And like one thing I would say is like, if you enjoy being a part of the community, you make friends very quickly.
Right.
And I think you just vibe off one another if there is something there. I don't know, it just kind of it like the opportunities to talk to one another, whether it be on broadcast or whether it be at like a conference or something like that. There's always going to be, you'll just have a vibe, and if you click, you click.
Yep.
And yeah, that's always been the case with us. I would say, if you are just getting into live streaming, I mean, chances are the people that you're looking to collab with aren't just live streamers, they're musicians themselves, so they're probably open to collaboration anyway.
Cool. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's sort of a universal. I mean, I think even in the studio world, that a lot of what ends up happening where one person starts working with another person seems very random and coincidental when you look back on it. And I think that's just it's just human beings interacting first. And whether you interact at a conference or you interact on Facebook or you interact by watching, Emma play, Animal Crossing, and like there's just ways that people interact. I guess what I'm getting at, and I'm sort of wanting to ask you is, like in the real world, you know, the non-live streaming world, maybe the first thing that happens when two people are going to get together to collaborate is they just vibe off each other, and it's not really a, hey, we should work together feel. It's just a like that, you know, you're just kind of getting to know each other, right?
Yeah, I pretty much. I mean, like
Okay.
the people that I've worked with recently, you know, what, like one person or the other, one of us has like reached out to the other to say, I love your stuff. Listen to this. What do you think? Maybe we could do something together. It's either gone like that, or we've been, you know, kind of in the same communities, and we've noticed each other and just enjoyed each other's sounds, and kind of recognize that kind of opportunity to, you know, kind of almost bring the two in together at some point. So I think it comes in different ways. I don't think you can really engineer it to. I'm sure some people, I'm sure like a lot of artists do. And there is like some strategy behind that in terms of like tapping into the, you know, right audiences and stuff. But I feel like organically as an artist, like those collaborations and those opportunities, they just come through that just vibe, you know, they come through organically.
Yeah, and I feel like where things are going with, you know, if you look at all the different ways that music has sort of evolved, and now we're in, for the moment, we're in this really sort of live stream centric moment. It's the least, in some ways, this could be wrong, but to my mind, coming into the party, I feel like it's the least pretentious of anything that's come before it, because it's the most transparent. Like, I think you used the word vulnerable when we were talking a couple of weeks ago. It's just it's things are getting closer and closer and closer to the actual real person when we're interacting online. And so it speaks to what you said, like it's a vibe and a connection first, and there's no point in trying to engineer or fake that, because it's going to get harder and harder to fake it. You could fake it on Instagram easier than you can fake it on a live stream, right? And then it'll probably continue to move in that direction. So yeah, I mean, again, let's think another question that comes to my mind, because again, the publications that I write for are largely for signed artists, you know, larger artists that may or may not be global artists, but they have a certain amount of overhead. They have a certain amount of expectations about trying to get things done, and they're not just like cracking into this for the first time. So in a way, it's a little trickier for them, because they might be established artists and unestablished live streamers. And there's this sort of like, okay, well, do I come in like I'm the big shot, or do I come in, you know what I mean? How do I sort of enter this world, appreciate it, contribute something, interact in the right way? So if you're talking with, whether it's an artist or a management team or a label, and they're like, look, like we're totally down to do this, how do we bring in an artist that's already got a little bit of a following and a thing going, and not be a bull in a china shop? What would you recommend for those kinds of projects?
I feel like just looking at the live streamers that are doing it daily, just being in their live streams, I feel like that would give anybody like enough idea. But I feel like it's a lot about the pugs.
Is the pug around?
Yeah.
What's up? Roxy always pops in at the end.
Yeah, I think just, you know, kind of looking at what live streaming musicians have been doing for X amount of years kind of should give you enough of an idea. But I feel like you know, say like signed artists that do have that following, they're able to bring over their audience from other kind of arenas, whether that be followings on their mailing list or YouTube or wherever it may be. But in terms of like organically connecting with an audience that already exists on a platform, I think it's a very different thing. I think it's a very different beast, and almost kind of I feel like the problems that signed artists might have more than anything is that lack of interaction with the chat in a more direct way, because potentially, probably more often than not, the chat will be going way too fast.
Right.
and I guess like that's like, so being an independent artist and having that smaller, close-knit, intimate following does benefit you in some way, because your fans become friends, and you're aware of each other and you acknowledge them, whereas maybe a bigger artist might, you know, not have the opportunity because it's just like it's problematic. You can't keep up with it.
Right.
I guess in terms of for somebody like that getting used to it, the biggest tip I could give is, if you can, interact with them in any way possible, whether it's like a Q&A on Instagram pre-live stream, so you have some connected kind of dialogue with the fans in a direct way that you can bring to the live stream later on if it is too challenging to zip through the chat.
So you're talking about doing something that's not a live stream ahead of time with your same community and just getting that sense of back and forth before it's like in real time?
Yeah, definitely. If for an artist who hasn't live streamed before and would expect for a large following to come into a broadcast, I feel like having that having a bit of preparation there previously, and that doesn't only alert the people that you're actually going to do a live stream, it gives you content to work with if you're not used to living in that moment of awkwardly like going through the chat. At least you have questions that are ready for you to answer and play around with and talk off. So at least you've got some talking points there, and you're not going in blind if it's something that you're not used to doing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm used to connecting quite well with people face to face. So if I'm interacting with you, just like full disclosure, if I'm like 100% focused on you speaking and like your image, and it takes practice for me to like get used to kind of being aware of multiple spaces at the same time. It's almost like driving. Like I have to check my rearview mirror. I have to make sure I'm not hitting anything. I have to change the dial on so it's like this sort of skill set that you learn probably over a period of time, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. So speaking of that, any questions for Emma? You guys are welcome to throw any questions out that you might have on artists collaborating with other artists. Any questions you might have about her process or ideal artists that, what was the name of the song that you wrote on your stream that you mentioned maybe 10 minutes ago?
It was called Levels.
Levels.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tori, if we can maybe, how do you concentrate in the chat and the music? So Goda asks, I think what you're asking there is, if you're collaborating in real time and you're trying to create music and you're trying to interact in the chat at the same time, how do you sort of have those two things running fruitfully? I think that's what you're asking, Goda.
Yeah, I think it definitely comes to practice in the sense of a live stream. I feel like being a live streamer for such a long time and having almost building that ability to like, it's almost like a side of your brain is like singing the song and the other side is like reading all the comments as they come through, and so you can remind yourself later. I feel like having that ability has almost made me more talkative when I do live shows, like in between songs. I feel like sometimes I find myself interacting with like an audience at a live show almost similarly to what I would in a live stream. So like, for example, I have this song called Simon Says, and it's about a terrible ex-boyfriend, and so I always mention in the chat, don't worry if your name's Simon, it's not about you. and then at my live shows I've started like picking on people in the audience that are called Simon and making them feel a little bit terrible in a really funny way, and it's such a good kind of interactive element that I think has I probably didn't bring previously to my live show. So I feel like having that ability via the live streams has enabled that. And also like I think it comes to practice when you are live streaming doing it. It's like juggling. It's literally
totally
like
is. Yeah,
like 3 different things at once.
One of the things I liked about that Chris Martin stream, and it was one of the first ones that I had seen, was you could see him thinking that in real time, like, fuck, this is nuts. And he was like, wow. And there was something very engaging about seeing an artist that's that accomplished and has done that much with that large of an audience, completely like sort of paralyzed, like, wow, this is kind of overwhelming and frightening, and let's do this. And I thought that was so cool on so many levels to watch that and to see that person do that. And I loved the way he did it because it was so imperfect. So I mean, I just think it speaks to the fact that this skill set that you have and certain other live streamers have is very unique. And you can have a global audience and be used to playing large arenas and have lots of confidence on stage and have every other box checked. And you get in front of a live stream and it's like, holy shit, this is hard to do it really well. Yeah.
I think the whole kind of the performance aspect of it, I think they are two very different beasts in terms of, like, you know, when I am live streaming, I'm sat on my butt in front of the camera with an acoustic guitar, and, you know, balancing the two so that, you know, you bring it in a sense of a live show. I think that's a completely different thing. But the two kind of, in a way, for me, have complemented one another, definitely in the way of that interaction. And I agree, like, I guess, like, the thing with, like, artists on the level of Chris Martin, who all of a sudden sees all of these comments, for him, he's usually just used to seeing faces. And now all of a sudden he's seeing what they're thinking, like, in words in front of him. And he's probably like, oh, fuck, like, what am I supposed to do with this? I only see your faces. I don't get to hear you. Like, this is, you know. So
it's like hearing hearing your thoughts. The other, I loved this point that you and James made. For you guys that are wondering who James is, James Plester is your producer and collaborator. You guys have worked together for like 10 years or probably more. So I think it was the last interview we did on Friday of last week. And you guys made the point, like, it's very different when you're standing on stage, even if there's 10 people in the audience, if there's 10,000 people in the audience, you're kind of doing this thing where you're playing to everyone at the same time. And it's a gift that you give to all 10 or 10,000 of those people. When you're live streaming, it's like, I'm going to give this little gift to you. I'm going to interact with you for a second. And you're doing it like a person at a time. And you're also kind of doing it to everyone at the same time. And it's a very different feel, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I was curious about is, like, you know, the 10,000 hours theory. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So there's this theory, like Malcolm Gladwell, who's an author, kind of made it famous, but it had been around for a long time, which is, you know, the only way to master something is to do it for 10,000 hours, which in chronological time takes about 7 years on average. If you're really doing it all the time, full time, in about 7, there's a reason why people become excellent at something. And part of that reason, according to this theory, is they've just done it for 10,000 hours. So I'm wondering if you had a 10,000 hour moment or a 10,000 hour month or a year or something where you reached that point where you're like, this isn't quite as painful and difficult as it used to be, and I'm kind of like in a zone now. Do you have a story or something that it clicked?
I think maybe for the first couple of years, live streaming on YouNow as a musician, I wasn't as confident as I am now, for sure. I definitely would stumble a little bit and almost struggle to come up with creative ideas and be worried that the audience wasn't enjoying it and all of these different things. Quite a few insecurities back then. And I feel like over the years, what's kind of shown me that that's not the case is really the feedback from the audience, especially when it's in that moment. There was a time when it was a release day in 2015, I think. We had a release day for a song called You Mess Me Up, and we didn't really know what we were going to do for the promo. We didn't have any budget for it, so I was just like, okay, I'll go live on YouNow and let people know. I'll go live for, you know, a couple of hours and see what happens. I'll let people know to go stream it. And then in that stream, it ended up being a 6-hour stream where the audience rallied around the broadcast and got the song up into the iTunes charts, because they kind of wanted to see that success moment happen in the moment. And I feel like at that point is when I kind of understood that from what it takes to be a successful live streamer. It can be any matter of things, but it's that connection that you have with your audience. And I think at that point, it really taught me that it gave me the confidence that people were willing to rally around my music, which blew me away in the moment. And so I guess that was definitely a moment that hit for me in terms of like, look, you don't have to be so insecure. They are enjoying it. Like, you are doing okay. And maybe at that point I'd been live streaming for, it would have been 2 years, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I would probably say at that moment I maybe started to feel a little bit more confident and probably came across as a bit more comfortable on broadcasts as well.
So it only takes 2 years. What's 2 years?
Apparently, yeah.
No, you said something really cool in our interview a few weeks ago. Maybe, Tori, you can put the link for that again so people can read it if they'd like. But you said something like, I think I used the word fans for your audience. And you said, I don't really see them as fans or supporters. I see them as, I think you said, I don't see them as fans. I see them as friends and supporters. And I think also, if you look at your TEDx talk, and maybe we can post that up as well, that was where it made sense for me first, is I realized, like, you've got a group of people that are just behind you, that are like super stoked that you're doing well, which is different than the way a fan is just excited for the next record. Like, I'm not excited that Radiohead's doing really well on something. I just love and appreciate what they do as artists, but I'm not like, oh, I hope they get this deal with so-and-so, or like, I hope this goes really well for them. I don't have a vested interest in how well they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about, I think, what you've been able to do that's created this different sort of relationship. That's part of the reason I find it so fascinating. And I think it's really as much attention as live streaming is getting right now, because it's kind of the only fucking thing people can do. It's still, for me included, like, we don't understand what it actually is doing and what it means and where it's going to be taking things. And I think it's really going to redefine that relationship in ways that you probably get in your gut. I think people that have been doing this for a long time are going to go, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
The rest of us are going to watch it happen over the next few years.
For sure. I feel like we're going to see a lot more artists, definitely on a more independent level, start to understand the capabilities and the positives behind doing like something like live streams. But I think, those artists that see that and acknowledge that are going to be the artists that, kind of let down their walls a bit. I think there's definitely some artists who struggle with not being so open, but being so vulnerable in front of an audience for a long time. And I feel like, the artists that are willing to break down that wall a bit and get to know their audience, they're going to be the ones that do succeed in live streaming, because it heavily relies on community and being willing to, like, invite your audience to be a part of the moment and actually speak to them as well.
Yep. Let's look at some places that it might go. Like, maybe hasn't gone there completely yet, but like, do you know Gary Vaynerchuk?
No.
Okay, so Gary V is social media. I hate to use the word guru because I feel like it's diminishing, but like he's really one of the most brilliant social media minds currently, I think, and he I think he sort of thank you, Tori. She's reminding me that it's 10:50. Like, I feel like the way things are going, one of the things that Gary V says is, marketers ruin everything. And he's a marketer, right? So he knows, like, there was a point where any social media platform was cool, and it was just social, and it was just people connecting legitimately, semi-randomly, and building communities. And then, like, a brand wants to come in, or and I have nothing against brands, but there's a point where it becomes large enough that there's like money involved or there's things involved, and then it becomes this other animal. So like, I don't know at what stage of evolution live streaming is that. It feels like it's pre that. It still feels pretty pure to me. At least that's me looking in more or less from the outside. But like, what do you think about working with brands? What do you think about like having product placement in the middle? Or like, how do you feel about collaborating in ways that are not artist to artist or artist to fan, but like artist to something else? What's your sort of feel on that stuff?
I feel like over the years, brands have been skeptical to approach live streamers for sponsorships or to get their brand in front of people. I think because they don't understand the space. They don't understand how the audience are going to kind of respond to it, especially because it's a live moment and, you know, it's not a pre-recorded video that they can ask their influencer to chop and edit if they don't like something. It's kind of like they're throwing their brand into a minefield of anything.
They don't have control.
Happen.
They have less control than they ever have. Yeah,
and I feel like maybe that's potentially why some brands have, you know, not really experimented in the space. I feel like, so with you now, obviously there's no ads, and over the years I've done a couple of like placements where I've been wearing a certain watch that I really liked, and they said they'd send me one, and I was like, okay. Even though like I knew it wouldn't go down too well with like all of my audience, maybe potentially a pocket of my audience that were of that demographic that I think would buy a watch. Not all of them would, at like however old they are. But in terms of like having that product placement, I think when you're live streaming, you have to be so careful as the broadcaster, especially if the dialogue in your streams is always you and your audience talking. I think it kind of breaks it up a bit, especially if it's the wrong brand. I feel if it's correct, and like if it's, for example, if it's more musical, I feel like that comes across. It depends what you're streaming, right? So I had about barbecue in the middle of my live streams, and I was just like, I'm sorry, no, I cannot do that.
In the middle of your live stream?
Yeah. And
wow, that's bold.
And they were asking me, oh, so how do you think it would work? And I was telling them, I don't think it would work, like 100%. Like, number one, it's not going to work because you're advertising barbecue sauce in the middle of a live stream. Number two, I'm a musician and I don't like barbecue sauce. So. But it's I feel like
there's the Gary V moment where like a marketer ruins it just in one drips a little barbecue sauce all over it. That's great.
But point being that I think I think for a long time they haven't really understood how they can make the most of it. You know, like on platforms like Twitch, they have pre-roll ads before you go into broadcast and things like that. And I think that's a comfortable place for them to sit, because they can almost, I feel like certain platforms have a certain criteria of broadcaster, and they feel like, you know, they're happy to put their product before a certain stream or whatever. So I don't know. I feel like it's, like I say, it's been a bit of a minefield, but maybe in the future, we'll see a lot more, I think, brands tying up with different live streamers across different platforms, especially if, you know, there's been such a big light shed on the space recently.
Anyone else within the music industry that you'd collaborate with? I mean, if there's publishers, or you know, you and James had mentioned a couple labels that you might be keen on, or it could be anything. It could be just someone that you admire, a producer you'd like to work with. Like, who are some people that be like, wow, that'd be great to work? It could be another artist. Who would you just love to work with?
So like in terms of like publishers, labels and stuff, we're always like open-minded, and we're very much, and have been over the last few years, we're in the camp of we enjoy networking. So we enjoy getting to meet people and speaking to people and getting to know them first before we, you know, decide on anything. I think networking is such a powerful tool, whether you're a musician, whether you're a live streamer. You know, I think networking is important in that space as well. But in terms of, you know, other artists and stuff, I mean, Zed is a huge inspiration in terms of like his production and his songwriting.
What's the song you like of his?
He did a song with Katy Perry, 365. That's a great track.
Yeah.
He's done some incredible stuff. One with Hayley Williams. I can't remember the name of it now, but yeah, he's fantastic. He has a signature kind of sound-based production, and
I think he studied like orchestration and classical music and some other stuff before he went into like the sort of electronic EDM thing.
Yes,
right?
the middle.
Ish?
Yeah, the middle is a jam. Sorry, for sure.
I love that song. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what he did with that song. Dope. So if I let this go long, Tori's gonna beat me up afterwards. And that might be fun for viewers, but it wouldn't be fun for me. And where did you go? That's right. I think Emma got a little bit intimidated by the beating up thing. So I'll let her hop back on, and then we'll wrap up. Yes, I know she has a tour. I just want to let her get back on first so she can talk about it. But I'll warm it up while we're waiting on her to come back in. So Emma has a virtual tour that actually kicked off last Wednesday, and it goes every Wednesday through June, I think the first week in June. You guys should watch it immediately after this. It happens, I think, about an hour and a half after we wrap up, so 12:30 local time. The first one was more of like a straight up pop thing, and then I think today's is a little bit more like acoustic cafe sort of vibe to it. When you get one pass, you get the whole series of concerts. And so she's been doing that. She actually had that planned already, and was going to be doing live dates, and then she was going to have like a virtual thing going on alongside it so people could follow along. And now it's the only thing she can do, and that's what people are having fun checking out. So Emma, I'm sorry that we lost you there. Maybe you had a Wi-Fi moment. We've had some Wi-Fi moments recently. Tori, can you post Emma's website one more time so people know where to get the tickets? And maybe you can post our interview with her, which was at the Music Registry website. And guys, if there's anything else that you want to ask Emma, maybe it's the first time viewing her or you've been a fan for a long time, we have one more sit down with her on Friday, and we're going to be talking about the money. So how does the money work in live streaming? What are some elegant ways to generate an income? And sort of what the mechanics of that are. So that's our last one with Emma, and we're super excited that we've been able to have her on these. I also want to give props to the